You didn't grow up feeling abused. You grew up feeling alone. Not physically alone, not abandoned in the obvious way, but emotionally unsupervised. You learned early that crying didn't bring comfort, that excitement wasn't mirrored, that sadness didn't slow the world down for you. So you stopped asking. And this is the quiet tragedy most people never see. Because you didn't break loudly, you adapted. You became mature for your age. Independent, low maintenance, easy to handle. You learned how to swallow your feelings before they ever reached your mouth. How to solve your own pain without bothering anyone. How to sit in your room, staring at the wall, feeling something heavy but unnamed. And here's the paradox that defines your life now. The emotional self-sufficiency that kept you safe as a child is now the very thing that keeps you lonely as an adult. What once protected you now isolates you. You don't collapse when life gets hard. You don't ask for help. You don't even feel desperate in a dramatic way. Instead, you carry a constant, quiet exhaustion. A sense that life is happening around you, not with you. You might struggle to explain what hurts because nothing specific feels wrong. There was no single catastrophic moment, just 1,000 moments where you needed something and nothing came. So you became the one who doesn't need much. And that identity followed you into adulthood like a shadow. Psychology has a name for what you lived through, even if you never had words for it. It's called emotional neglect. Unlike abuse, emotional neglect isn't about what happened to you. It's about what didn't. No consistent emotional attunement, no one noticing your internal world, no safe place for feelings to land. Imagine a child as a radio transmitter, constantly sending signals. I'm scared. I'm excited. I'm overwhelmed. I need you. In a healthy environment, those signals are received, reflected, and regulated. In emotional neglect, the signals go unanswered. So the nervous system adapts. One key concept here is attachment theory, specifically avoidant attachment. When caregivers are emotionally unavailable, the child learns connection is unreliable, depending on others is unsafe. So the child turns inward. They down-regulate their needs. They suppress emotional expression. They become prematurely independent. Another critical concept is parentification, not always in the obvious raising siblings way, but emotionally. You may have learned to take care of yourself emotionally, not burden stressed parents, be understanding instead of needy. Your nervous system learned that closeness equals disappointment. Over time, this rewires the brain. The default mode, network, the system responsible for self-reflection and emotional processing, becomes hyperactive. You live inside your head. You analyze feelings instead of feeling them. You intellectualize pain instead of expressing it. And then there's hypervigilance. Not the loud, anxious kind, the quiet kind, always scanning. Am I asking too much? Am I being inconvenient? Am I allowed to want this? You don't feel entitled to care. So you learn to survive without it. But survival has a price. And the price you paid was authenticity. You learned that being fully yourself didn't bring connection. It brought indifference. So you edited yourself. You became agreeable. You became emotionally neutral. You became the version of yourself that caused the least friction. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents." But there's another burden just as heavy, the unlived emotional life of the child. You grieve things you can't explain, the comfort you never received, the warmth you never expected, the safety you never assumed. This creates what psychologists call invisible grief. There's no funeral for it, no clear memory to point to, just a dull ache that surfaces in quiet moments. The core fear underneath it all is simple, but devastating. If I need too much, I will be alone. So rest feels unsafe. Vulnerability feels risky. Depending on others feels weak. Even joy feels suspicious, like it might be taken away. You may feel guilty for wanting softness, ashamed for needing reassurance, embarrassed by emotional hunger. So you stay composed. And slowly, invisibly, that composure becomes a prison. This is where the past shows up in your adult life, not as memories, but as patterns. You might struggle in relationships. You crave closeness, but withdraw when it's offered. You feel overwhelmed by emotional intensity. You attract emotionally unavailable partners because it feels familiar. Overvalue independence. You pride yourself on not needing anyone, but secretly resent that no one shows up for you. You don't ask for help, then feel unseen. Suppress your needs. You don't know what you want until it's too late. You say, it's fine when it's not. You feel disconnected from your own desires. Live in a constant state of emotional control. You manage emotions instead of experiencing them. You stay calm on the surface while feeling numb underneath. Struggle with rest and softness. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Rest feels undeserved. You feel productive, but empty. Gaslight your own pain. You tell yourself, others had it worse. It wasn't that bad. I should be grateful. But these are coping strategies, not true personality traits. You are not cold. You are not distant. You are not broken. You adapted. Healing begins with witnessing, not fixing, not forcing yourself to be different, not shaming yourself for how you survived, but gently naming the pattern. This is how I learned to stay safe. Healing emotional neglect is not about becoming dependent. It's about becoming connected to yourself first. This is where inner child reparenting begins. You practice doing what was missing, validating your own emotions, allowing yourself to need responding with softness instead of judgment. You learn to sit with feelings without solving them, to let emotions exist without explanation. This is also where shadow work matters, reclaiming the parts of you that learned to disappear. The quiet, the sensitive, the needy, the tender. They are not weaknesses. They are unfinished conversations. Philosopher Martin Buber wrote, "All real living is meeting." And the first meeting you were denied was with yourself. Healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means integrating it. You don't become whole by fixing what's wrong with you. You become whole by welcoming back what was missing. And here is the truth I want you to remember. You were never too much. You were simply left alone with too much. If this video put words to something you've carried silently, share it. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring the psychology behind the pain you never learned to name. Because understanding doesn't erase the wound, but it gives you the power to finally stop bleeding alone.